Everyone, welcome back to the channel and a new video on the Maserati Levante GT. This one is turning out to be a bit of a pain and it really is taking its time, but you get that with salvage, don't you? And we know that. Last time it was stuck in the middle of the yard and it's made it this far. That's as far as me and Chris could get it. It was a huge investment and we have still not heard this car run. We've had to call in the big guns. We've called in Josh from JR Vehicle Services. He's going to be here shortly. He's got the software to get into the gateway module on this car, and we need him to actually come and try and get this one running. So it is just a case of waiting around for Josh to arrive. I'm going to start stripping down some of this car, getting some of this damaged stuff removed because there's a lot of broken wires under there, and hopefully get them all tied up. Get some electrical tape around them, just so none of them are touching, and see how he gets on with it. Sitting in this Maserati while I'm editing this bit of time lapse because it's nice and warm. So with that bit of wiring, it doesn't matter about the colour of the insulation tape. I literally want to tape up each individual wire so that none of them can touch and cause any problems. We don't know if there's a little crash sensor there, and of course we've got all new airbags fitted. We don't want to blow them off. So the next day, when I said I was calling in a professional, of course we was calling in Josh from JR Vehicle Services and an Instagram. So I'll link Josh down below. He's actually our go-to man with the Evoques, and of course really good with these computers. You've managed to get straight in.
Yeah, so you need what's called a secure gateway login now. It's a security device, so basically the machine has to be connected to the internet to then talk to Maserati or FCA servers to then be able to communicate with the car. So if you haven't got it, it doesn't let you in, but it has let us in.
You're straight in,
and it lets you search for it.
It was my computer was telling me codes, but your computer's only as good as the operator, they say, don't they? And
well, no, your machine probably do it, but if you haven't got the login for it, you haven't got the login. It doesn't. Just computer says no at that point.
Exactly, so. Yeah. But you're straight into that, and
yeah,
you're quietly confident that it'll. I mean, a lot of these codes are just going to need clearing, aren't they, because of the crash event?
Yeah.
But
even the fact that pyro fuse is blown has probably put a lot of these codes on.
That has been replaced with a new one. The airbag module's been reset. Of course, you can see all the airbags have been changed in it. That's a lot of codes, Josh, isn't it?
Yeah, goodness knows how many, but we've still got a few left to go.
It's got a few green ones though, which is nice.
Yeah.
And the battery power, I mean, last time I did a video on this, I know it's required to have good battery voltage for your computer and the car, isn't it? So this time we made sure it's got plenty on it. But yeah, I was just assuming, because it's a hybrid, it's going to have a hybrid battery cut off or something like that, but I guess...
Could have, yeah.
We'll let you do as much as you can do. Is that nearly done, or should I...
There's only a few left to go.
I'm going to stop there, let you read through them, come up with a plan of action, and we'll go from there. So I'm not going to interrupt, because ultimately Josh has done this, and as you can now hear, it is running. So he's just told me, Rob, this is not fixed. Josh, over to you. What?
No, so we had a few things. Obviously, you can't get through the gateway, so you can't clear anything. So that's problem number one. And then we had a power steering fault, which we've managed to trace to this fuse, which is being blown. But then the only faults coming up on the engine was saying that the starter motor relay circuit wasn't working. And it's all a bit strange, and not to bore anyone to death, but there's no power at this relay. And because there's no power at the relay, the engine ECU isn't switching the relay on. So what we've managed to do with just about the right timing is, as you've gone to crank it, I've jumped that relay before the ECU's realised there's a fault, and it's running. Because if you jump it too early or too late, it throws the code and it won't let the car start. But the good news is it's running, and now we've got to work backwards and find a wiring diagram and find out why this relay has got no power in it. So,
are you confident that the hybrid battery system's fine on this car now then?
We can have a look now. It's charging, can't we? And
or do you think
scan it.
Do you think there's a break somewhere? I mean, because we found that's an 80 amp, and that's we've bridged that for a moment.
Yeah.
Do you think the underlying issue is here? We've got another break somewhere.
100%. Yeah. So, like the way the relay would work, you got two sides of it. this is a 5-pin relay, but that one's not used, so you should have power. So this terminal on this relay has got 12 volts all the time, but this is the control, so this is the control side of it, which switches this relay on. You should have 12 volts there all the time, which we've got, and then I'm assuming the engine ECU, it might be the body control module, but I think it's the ECU, gives it a ground to switch. But this pin, normally, you'd have 12 volt on that all the time, and you haven't got it. And because you haven't got it, that ECU relay, that ECU is picking it up and not letting the car go into start mode unless you was quick enough to jump it, which is what we managed to do, because we did try a few times.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
So you should, I'm pretty sure, now I'm working blind because I haven't got a wiring diagram, which we need to get, unless any of your subscribers can somehow get old, you never know.
Yeah, that would be handy.
But that should have 12 volts on it, so somewhere along the line that's broken, whether that's another relay not getting fed properly. We have noticed we've got no communication with the telematics control module. That could be switching another relay off to this, so I don't know. So we're working blind until we find that diagram, but it's running.
Josh,
and at least you
well
can
done,
see
mate.
that it wasn't a total.
It's a huge investment for me and Chris, this car.
So
we paid a lot of money for it. To hear it running is honestly incredible. Chris, have we got any leaks down there? I do just want to leave it running for a minute, and I want to just have a look at the dash.
It's a shame we didn't catch it, but we did try.
Yeah.
So many times to get it to run.
Is it safe? Oh, the steering light's gone off, Josh, and we've got.
Yeah, it's got power steering, so we didn't have that.
But you did say the angle sensor's going to need resetting.
Yeah, which you might even be doing right now.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. But can I just put my foot on the brake and see if it goes into drive?
Give it a go. It's not going to harm it, is it?
Yeah, it does.
There we go. Will it move?
Yeah,
it's moving. So.
Oh, honestly, thank you so much.
Right.
I know you're saying it's not fixed, but what a relief to myself and Chris.
Start it up and it's knocking or something.
You never know, Josh, do you? I mean, we recently bought a BMW that had been eaten by rats. I mean, you said you haven't seen that video yet. What a head scratcher.
Yeah, but you don't know if someone's tied it up and chucked it back through.
No, you don't. Isn't it amazing to hear this running? Right,
it'd be nicer to see the heated seat on.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty cold today, isn't it?
So.
Josh, thank you so much, and I'm sure you're going to try and find this issue for us anyway, aren't you? But that's as far as we can go right now with it until Josh gets a diagram. So I guess we'll pick up once that arrives. It is such a shame, but this one is a Category S. And you can clearly see that when checking it out using Car Vertical. This vehicle was damaged, the vehicle was marked as an insurance write-off, and it is a real shame. So on the 8th 2024, it was written off S structural repairable damage. I mean, you guys have seen it throughout this build. We found no structural damage on this car. I do believe that it was miscategorised, but then if it was a Category N, then the car just would have been that bit more expensive when buying it. We all know that it hasn't got any structural damage, so we're quite happy with it. It's not a great deal on this particular car because it is a 2023, but of course you've got your overview there. Maserati 2023, odometer all clear, financial and legal all clear, and just that damage detected. You've got, of course, your market values, natural disaster, your emissions, specs, and on the specs you can go through that and it tells you all of the extras that car has got. Ownership, so you can see there, one ownership record. If it had more, then they would all come up. So first registered 3rd of March 2023, and then on timeline all you're going to get is your build date, your registration date, and then of course your written off date. I want to thank Car Vertical for the continued support on the channel. To benefit from a nice little discount off your check, hit the link in the description where it will automatically apply your discount, or if you're using another browser, use the code that's been up on screen throughout this check. So straight into the workshop, and it is just a few star drives along the bottom of the bumper, and of course a few along the top, and then you've got one behind the wheel arch, just one star drive there holding it. And once we've got that undone, we can actually move on and remove this front bumper. With the front bumper removed, we can see the damage behind the bumper on the actual bumper itself and the wiring, but there doesn't appear to be any more on the car. I know I said it when this car come in, but it's not actually as bad as it really did look. I think the airbags and the fact that it was a non-runner put so many people off this car. But that, with all of that front bumper removed, we've just removed a bracket that was bolted here that was bent, and there's a little bracket that bolts up under here that was bent. I've actually got them up here, those two little brackets. I've just got off the phone to the dealer. It was less than 30 quid. Less than £30, and we've just ordered loads of other parts. Chris made a substantial list as we were stripping it, and we also got some good news with the front bumper, because it was plugged in this side, and we quickly noticed once we got it off how hard that impact had ripped that wire in that way, to the point where it had unplugged that fog light. It won't even reach now, and it's curled it up. It's curled it up there. It's ripped the wires out here.
Yeah.
That one there as well. And then when we get to this end, this is the one that I taped up, and I was really concerned about how many wires there was. But of course, once we'd unplugged the bumper, that unplugged down here, you can see the wires. I said, oh, I'll just check the other side. And that plug was tucked up there out the way with the other end of that plug in it. So again, bumper wire and loom. We're just going to order a new one for it. It's a 2023. It's a beautiful car. It's a beautiful car. And it just warrants having everything thrown at it, doesn't it? So
Definitely.
we have got a brand new wing for it that we bought a couple of weeks ago. I went down to Euro Spares, and the wing, they did a price match on another company. It was, I know we're not getting into the numbers, was it £380?
Something along
But
that
somebody
lines,
on eBay selling a second-hand one for £450, and it needs work.
I know.
It just shows you it's definitely worth looking. Anyway, we're going to pull the wing out, we're going to get the front bumper skin in here, and we're just going to start lining it up, making sure it's all right before we send it off for paint. And of course, we've still got to work out, waiting for Josh, let us know why there's no live there, so that we have to keep bridging it to start it. We need to get that sorted. Right, let's crack on. So with the front wing needing to go on, both of those brackets are going to need straightening out just temporarily until the new ones arrive. And you can see Chris is over to his bench, back to the car, test fits it, back to his bench, gives it another little tweak, and just keeps doing it, of course, until he gets it absolutely perfect. I know someone's going to say just reuse them, but we have ordered them in now. Like I said, it was very cheap, and they're going to be here in a couple of weeks. I know I actually previously said in the bit just before that we have ordered these brackets new, and we have, but they are 14 days. So Chris did just do a bit of tin bashing there on that one, and he's going to move on to that one. Chris, just can we go to your bench? I just want to ask you a couple of questions about that. It's only because people always do, really, about where do you even start with that? How do you know where to put it back to?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of, you will have seen on that one, it's to a certain degree, it's sort of almost got a bit of a memory once you start working with it. If you look at like that edge rod that's folded round there, obviously if you was to bend that, you'd know yourself, if you was to bend that, that will flare that out.
Yes.
So you're obviously doing the reverse of that. But also, you've got the other side.
To compare it to.
Yeah, although that bracket are a mirror image.
Okay.
Side to side, so it's relatively easy. We got a bit of access there, so I was able to offer that up and make sure I got the angle the same.
Okay.
And when you stand back here, it's all it creates a 90 degree, and that I mean by there. These two are 90 degrees to each other. Yeah. So if you look that side, we're kind of back.
Yeah.
90 degrees, so you're not going to be far out, are you?
No.
You could have a little bit of a tweak on this angle and a little tweak on this angle, but by straightening this one out, we should know, because those bolts have got to line up with them, I believe.
Yeah.
A little bit more tricky, this one because it's thicker.
Yeah. I have to come that side, aren't I?
Yeah, it actually isn't a mirror image, this one. When you start looking,
it's actually that bracket there, and it is different.
Yeah, so right. that piece there looks the same, but when we drop down here to this bit that's welded onto it, it's completely different.
Right.
So I'm not sure why that is, what fits the other side. What the method is, yeah. But there must be something that it interferes with, why it's shaped slightly different. But why I went for that one first is because now I can just offer this one up.
Okay, yeah.
Until it lines up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know you're 95% there then. There's a little tiny impression there.
We found the structural damage for you.
Yeah, there's a little tiny impression there. And do you want to carry on?
Yeah, is that all right, Chris? Sorry, but it's just, Believe it or not, this is the most enjoyable part for somebody. I'll read it in the comments over and over. They love watching you work your magic on the tin. Bit of plastic there stuck in there from the old headlight.
I haven't got my bits ready here, but
He hasn't got anything ready.
bring this over.
Still, yeah, this was a category S down as structural damage, and like I say, we've not actually found any. There was none behind here. It is just a scrape behind there that we're going to clean up. I showed in the previous video, and a little stud on the end there that just needs straightening out. When you straighten it, it might snap off, and we'll have to just weld that back on. But this is the only piece of damage we found on the chassis, so to speak, of the car, haven't we?
For bits like this, these clamps work quite well. Which they're not meant for that. They're fabrication clamps. You see that one?
Yeah.
That's how they come when you buy them. But I've got one here that years ago I cut it off. You see that?
Yeah.
And you can get that in tighter to little places. So like where that is, see how that goes in there?
Yeah.
You can get that in there. Now what we'll do, we'll put a flat plate, one of those flat plates on there in a minute. We'll clamp that up, give that a little tug like that, and that'll pop that out.
Yeah.
So it's like, not rocket science.
No,
really,
I know, but it's nice to have a little bit of an explanation. People really do appreciate it, and they love your knowledge. So, right, mate, we'll let you get them other ones straightened out, and then I guess we'll move on to the wing. I am just going to say, just quickly, while we're here, so this is the brand new wing I was talking about in question, £380. We're over the moon with that.
Yeah.
But what's the bad news?
Wheel arch.
The wheel arch, the plastic wheel arch. So just this plastic wheel arch that goes to there. Is it 360?
No, I think it was a little bit less than that, wasn't it?
I think it was 360.
Was
I'm
it?
sure, yeah. 360 quid with the VAT, which is unbelievable. It's almost the same price as a complete wing, which is unbelievable. Anyway, let's let Chris get them straight and start trying on this wing and also the headlights here as well. So with that done, moving on to the little bit just on the end of the flitch there. It is a tiny little bend in there, and you can see Chris put a couple of flat plates in there, a pair of those previously shown mole grip spanners, and bent it just back into shape absolutely perfectly. Now we can move on, bolt those brackets on, and then I believe we can start the process of test fitting that front wing, and fingers crossed everything goes all right and it fits perfect. They look perfect, and you could get away with chucking some paint on them, but I've said it earlier on, it's a 2023 car with next to no miles on it.
They weren't dear,
they were
were they?
so cheap.
£14 or something?
£14, and we know that they're 100%, not 99.9. Anyway, they're straight. Like I said, we've got the new wing, got the new front bumper. Sorry, the wing's there behind me.
Yep.
And you're going to hang that on.
Can't believe how heavy that is.
No, it's obviously it's a steel one, isn't it, as opposed to...
It's still heavy.
Yeah. I'll get you a couple of screws for that.
I've got a couple in my pocket, Rob. I might get you to open the door though, just to...
Yeah.
Because there's a bracket goes in behind.
Do you know what? I love how this car, apart from obviously just getting the parts for it, you're all right.
Yeah.
Can I push that too a little bit?
Let's just get that. Yeah, I think so, mate.
It's actually been...
Quite there, are we? That's
Yeah,
it.
quite a nice... Just push that in there for now. Oh, look at that. But we knew that this just didn't have much damage on it, did it, this car? It was that wheel that had snapped off, and of course that bit of damage. Mate, they all line up very nicely.
I think that's going to be all right, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. So nice to have brand new parts. Unfortunately, brand new parts, we have got a second-hand front bumper. We are going to actually, in a minute, because the bottom of it is just where it's been stored. It's gone quite flimsy, but on our original bumper, you can see we've got this black panel, and you can see it actually pretty much holds the rigidity in it. So we're going to fit that to this bumper just to get this bumper into shape, and then we can put that on there and test fit it as well. And also, we did have to bite the bullet and pay £1,000 for a headlight. They're not available cheap. You just can't get them. And because this is the latest facelift model, of course it has got the latest facelift laser LED headlights in it. Let's carry on and get it fitted up. Looks good, mate.
Yeah, that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
So on to the front bumper. Like I say, we are going to strip everything out of our original bumper, and we're going to try and stiffen up this new bumper because it's slightly out of shape, it's been sat around for quite some time without any insides in it, and of course things do lose their shape. So with those bits swapped over, I think we're quite happy with it. We're going to glue in that end piece and then probably fit the bumper. Actually the next morning, and we did want to crack on and get this fitted last night, but we couldn't because of the glue. Now this new bumper, luckily it's actually got some little repairs this side, but this actual inner structure, skeleton if you'd like to call it, was missing, but it was in our bumper. Now I would go as far as to say it probably took a half an hour to get out, 2 hours to clean all the glue off.
It was a mission, wasn't it?
It was real tough glue, and then we've gone and bought the same glue and actually glued this one in, and we left it all overnight with the clamps on it, of course, until it completely went off before we put this on the car. The other thing that we have done, well Chris did, was fit that bottom structure, that broken grille, into this bumper, and that is to give it back really its rigidity and its complete shape, and I think that's worked. Also through the little fog light holes there, we stuck a couple of cable ties. We just pulled it as tight as we could, excuse me, just so that we could make sure that it was 100%, but I think we are there with it, and it looks like it's held lovely, mate, doesn't it?
Should have
Bit
done.
tight, them cable ties in there, aren't they?
Shouldn't it?
Got some out there, you got it. So yeah, I guess let's put the face of the car back on. Wing is all lined up, new headlight, all bolted in there. You can see I've got the bolt there. These ones do need to come out because they go through the bumper, but I'll just put them in temporarily. But you can see it all lines up perfect. There's no issues there whatsoever. All of the brackets that Chris lined up there, you can see all the bolt holes line up perfect with the wing. So we're quite, even though we've got new ones coming, we are quite happy with it. Right, mate?
Proper bit of recycling, that, Rob.
Proper bit of recycling. Let's, I guess, get it fitted and see what it looks like, mate. It is time. The headlight is in. That was just 3 bolts. Now the headlight's in, we can move on and fit that front bumper. Now the headlight bolts at the front actually share the same bolts as the bumper, so we just had to take 2 out, get the bumper on there, and we've put 1 bolt each side in the wing, 2 on the top, of course, through the headlights, and then Chris jumps down and puts 2 in the bottom just to hold it in place. We shut the bonnet and it is absolutely bang on. It all seems to line up just as it should. We are going to take the wheel off now, and we temporarily fitted the inner tie rod because the gaiter wasn't in. The gaiter's now here, so I'm going to fit that gaiter. Also, the bottom nut that goes in the lower arm was actually, we didn't get one with it, and one never come with the new one. So I ordered one of them in, it come in with the gaiter. I just needed to remove the nut and the washer that I'd previously put on there temporarily, and then fit the proper nut with washer on there permanently. With that done, let's get the wheel on and get it out. What an absolute epic moment in the build. And look at that car. I mean, I know it seems crazy to put it all back together, but we needed to panel it up. We needed to make sure it was bang on. And of course, for transportation, this is exactly what needs to happen. The car's beautiful inside. We don't want to put that bumper inside it. So we've actually stuck it on the car and bolted it on there just with 2 bolts on the sides and then 2 underneath. The gaiter, like I said, is all on there. The new nuts on there. Chris is going to give it a little run up and down the yard, just make sure that it drives all right. And I think we're there. And that new headlight did not need programming, which is very, very nice. And I think that is one of them follow me home lights, real expensive trick thing, and that is why it was that money. New from the dealer, it was actually nearly twice that. Right, let's run up and let him do a drive-by. It's going quite fast. Well, the brakes work, so that's handy. So nice to see that car on its wheels and actually driving under its own steam. But don't forget, we still haven't got this car starting on the key like it should do. Josh is really looking into that for us, and I know that he'll get to the bottom of it.
No, Johnny?
Any knocking or donking or banging?
Nothing, no. Brakes obviously need a bit of cleaning up. That's the only noise from it, is a little bit of brake noise. But
it's a beautiful car.
It's a beautiful car. Let's put it in.
Oh, it's lifting up.
Yeah, it's got all of
It looks awful.
Yeah, it's for off-road.
Do you know what though? At least we know that it's all working okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going back down?
Yeah, just,
The front's going down, the back's not.
it will do.
Oh yeah, it is now. Yeah, that looks better. All right, mate.
Well, I guess it can go for paint.
Yeah, definitely. I'll make the call and get it arranged.
All right, mate.
I've actually bought this car over to get the alignment done. I've got the trade plates in there. I'm actually going to drive this to paint to save us money on transport, and there's no reason why it can't be driven out. Everything's bolted on tight. The only thing missing is the grills in the bumper. That's not going to affect it. Anyway, I've bought it to A2 to have the tracking done, and Rich has just said this is the worst one I've ever bought here, but we kind of knew that. We did it by eye. I've never done a car with adjustable lower arms like that before, so that literally does the camber and caster and everything on that wheel and the tracking, and all of it is miles out. So you can see there in the background, if I can just get to that, it is all over the place. But Rich just said, don't worry Rob, it's in safe hands, leave it with me and I'll get it sorted. So I drove over it about 45-50 mile an hour and it drove lovely. So anyway, let's get it all absolutely bang on where it should be. Well, how about that? All of that done in one video. We are over the moon. It's booked in for paint. It's going there tomorrow and it's going to be just round the corner. We're going to be finishing this one off, paneling it all up, putting it together, crunching the numbers, and hopefully letting one of you guys have the chance to buy it. That is going to be the end of today's video. If you did enjoy it, as usual, we'd appreciate that thumbs up. If you want to follow us on our other socials, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, the links for them are in the description down below. Don't forget, like, subscribe and share, and we'll look forward to seeing you all very, very soon in the next one.